What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another cozy sit down with your man, Istrag. And what I want to speak about today is the importance of starting the day with an intention. The importance of the paradigm of starting the day knowing why this day is going to count versus starting the day in reaction with no apparent reason why you're going to get up, plant your feet on the ground, and essentially consume oxygen. Might be a bit far fetched to say that, but let's jump into it. Let's look at the false side of the paradigm first. Starting the day without an intention puts you instantly in a reactive mode. Your agenda, your goals, if any, become secondary to the world because there's no polarity. Therefore, you are there as you're not the primary player of the day. You're just a secondary character in the background. And you might feel like the days where you wake up potentially a little bit later than normal, you feel this rush. There's no groundness inside you. There's like just do, but not only do, it's not exactly do, it's get it over and done with. There's a difference in the energy of do, that's masculine energy, versus get over and done with, oh, I cannot take this anymore, let's fucking get it out of the way. To the contrary, when you start the day with an intention, there's a polarity that is drawing you towards where you want to go. You know where you're going, and there's a strong pull in that direction. Therefore, when you're walking down your path, if you encounter certain type of distractions on right and left, they are not, you're not in danger of being pulled away, like if you don't have that intention. So the lack of that pull, the lack of that magnetic energy towards where you want to go, leads to the dangerous traps of hedonism. What is hedonism? It is essentially a life of false pleasure and numbness. There's a lot of stimulation in the modern era. Netflix, all kinds of videos, social media, drugs, and they're all there. They serve the single purpose. They want to convince you. They want to pass the thought that this day doesn't count. They want you to think that where you're going doesn't matter. So you might as well be distracted. You might as well indulge in behaviors that, although you get a momentary pleasure, although you get the dopamine hit in the short term, in the long term, they destroy your character, because by providing your life with a constant supply of dopamine without you having to do anything apart from switching a screen on and watching a series or whatever, or for men just like putting some nice videos on and busting nuts, that conditions people to think that they don't have to work, when in reality the real pleasure of life is gained through work, is gained through the act of work itself, through the immersion in work, rather than the accomplishment of work. Because I don't know about you, but personally, no matter how hard I work, the time during which I will be reaping the rewards of my work will only be like a 2 to 5% compared to the time that I'm working. If you're doing 50-50 or something like that, then please tell me your tricks. But you get what I mean. So, to not ramble on that topic for further on, the day counts, you count, but problem is that it's up to you to find why. And this might lead to questions like, what is this day going to be about? What am I about? What my life is about? What am I going to do today to connect the day with my purpose? What is my purpose? I'm not expecting anyone really to know the answer of what is my purpose, because the way I see it, it's more like an onion. When you have an onion, you peel a layer, then you find there's another layer, but all you have at that time is that layer, and then you peel this layer off, and then you have another layer until you get to the core. So it will take a few outer purposes, I believe, to get down to the true core purpose. So I mentioned hedonism. It is probably worth saying that it is an even greater trap, an even bigger danger during lockdowns, because that's the time where people get stuck in their own little world, in their own little head. There's nothing for most people, especially for those working from home, that's their universe. And when there's nothing other than that, when one's entire horizon is themselves and maybe a few very close people and nothing else, when they lose touch from their working environment, they're stuck with their beliefs and they're stuck with themselves. And it takes a very aware person, a very developed person, to be able to sit there with himself and not without wanting to distract himself with something else. And I know that personally it took a lot of time for me to be able to sit there with me without wanting to check my phone, without wanting to distract myself with something, even without wanting to read a book, because essentially when you're reading a book, your attention is not within yourself, your attention is outside of yourself. Even though what you're watching and what you're consuming is probably useful, there is also place for time to sit with yourself. So what I was saying is that a lot of people are not particularly comfortable with doing that, because they need to, when they're sitting with themselves, their only company is themselves, and potentially they don't like themselves because they don't want to see the true face of their character. It's too painful for some, and thus the need for distraction. I do not have a particular or a specific stat on that, but I'm pretty sure that Netflix watch time absolutely skyrocketed during lockdown. And I was actually speaking to a sales representative from a large retail company, and he said me that he said that the sales for beer and alcohol and also electronics went up by 33% during the first 3 weeks of lockdown. And I don't know about you, but this does not make much sense for me, because you're in a lockdown, you don't really know if you're gonna be making any money for a long time, and you're consuming liabilities. You're buying stuff that will give you a little bit of value in the short term, but that's pretty much it. And the purpose of all of it was for people to distract themselves from the mundane reality of being themselves. Also, it's Black Friday. How do you justify the fact that we just had Black Friday during a global pandemic? I can't. Russell Brand put up a video on that, and he was like, I can't do that. Because it doesn't make sense, man. Really doesn't. But anyway, I went on a pretty big tangent on that thing. So why am I saying all this? It is up to us during this time to get clear on what we want to do. Set the intention, set the direction on what we're going, and follow through day by day. You're gonna have days where you're slacking off, same as me. But at least you know that the next day after you slack off, you pick yourself up and you know where you're going. Living aimlessly, like a leaf in the wind, is not the way. It's not enjoyable, and it's not fulfilling for a man to live his day in reaction mode instead of, as David Data would put it, penetrate the world with their intention and their energy. Again, this will take work. And another mindset shift that is required is to expand our world. Think of more than just ourselves. Because being stuck with just ourselves leads us to only think about ourselves and how stuff is wrong with us. But if we shift our focus to the outer world, maybe some people, maybe our close people, maybe there's a group of friends, maybe even a layer outside of that, people where you have immediate contact with and you can help. This will aid in removing the suffering of oneself and focusing on how you can make those people's lives better. Focus on giving instead of taking. So, powerful intention every single morning, along with the simple mindset shift of the expansion of our world from just ourselves and our immediate environment to the outer sphere, is going to provide the day with enough fuel. It's going to make us understand and comprehend the fact that we're here to contribute. We're not just here to immerse ourselves in false pleasure and distract ourselves from living. That's all I have to say, really. Intention, purpose, and contribution. I think those three elements are severely lacking, and it's up to us who might be a little bit more conscious to follow through, to give meaning to our lives and to better the lives of others around us. I'm out. Take care.